My name is Liam Carter, and I'm 30 years old. In the booming tech world of Austin, Texas, I run a digital marketing and cybersecurity firm called Cyberstream Marketing. I'm the guy corporations pay a small fortune to fortify their digital fortresses and build their online empires. Yet, on this night, to my own family, I was worth less than nothing. I walked into my sister's wedding reception at the Driscoll, a historic hotel in the heart of downtown Austin. The light from the crystal chandeliers danced across the polished marble floors, and the air hummed with expensive perfume and the sweet scent of orchids. Every table was a masterpiece of white linen and gleaming silverware, and I had paid for it all. The venue, the flowers, the gourmet food, the open bar, even the ridiculously popular DJ, every last cent was charged to my Amex Black Card. I did it because I wanted them to see me, to finally acknowledge my success as something more than a lucky break. I did it hoping for a single moment of acceptance. I made my way to the family table. My father, Robert, my mother, Helen, and the star of the evening, my sister Chloe, sat beaming next to her new husband, Mark. I looked for my place setting, my name on a crisp calligraphed card. But there was nothing. No card, no chair. A cold dread washed over me. I scanned the table again, my heart starting to pound. It had to be a mistake, but it wasn't. I had been erased from the guest list of my own family. I caught my mother's eye. She flickered a glance at my father, who then looked at me, shrugged, and let out a chuckle. "Oh, whoops, Liam. Looks like we miscounted. Sorry about that, son."
There wasn't an ounce of apology in his tone, only a cruel, dismissive amusement. Mark, my new brother-in-law, smirked. Chloe looked away, pretending to be absorbed in conversation. Then a ripple of laughter spread across their table. Nearby guests started whispering, their eyes darting towards me with pity and mockery. The sound of their laughter felt like shards of glass in my ears. I had financed every detail of this opulent night, yet here I was, an outcast at my own sister's wedding. My father's casual dismissal, that smug "we miscounted," echoed in my head. My jaw clenched. I closed my eyes for a second, took a deep, steadying breath, and opened them again. In a voice that was dangerously calm, I said, "It seems I don't meet the qualifications to be part of this family."
Then I turned and walked out, their fading chuckles following me like a curse. In that moment, I decided I was going to do something they would never forget. I would wipe those smug smiles off their faces permanently. They had started this game, but I was going to finish it. I would show them what happens when you push a cybersecurity expert too far. They may have started the night with laughter, but I would make damn sure it ended in tears. Shadows of the past. The dynamic between Chloe and me was set in stone from childhood. She was the artist, vibrant, creative, and always the center of attention. I was the computer geek, quiet, introverted, a kid who preferred the glow of a monitor and the logic of code to anything else. Our parents, Robert and Helen, didn't just accept this difference, they cultivated it. When Chloe wanted expensive canvases for her art projects, my dad opened his wallet without a second thought.
When I asked for parts to build my first computer, he dismissed it as wasting money on toys. A mediocre painting by Chloe would be displayed proudly on the fridge, while my winning first place in a statewide coding competition earned me a simple, "That's nice." The disparity became glaringly obvious with our education loan fund. The money our parents had saved was almost entirely depleted to pay for Chloe's prestigious and exorbitantly priced private art college. I was left to attend a state university, taking out my own student loan and working 2 part-time jobs to make ends meet. I spent my nights freelancing to pay down my debt, while Chloe was backpacking through Europe on Dad's dime, seeking inspiration. Our father, Robert Carter, had recently retired after 40 years as a manager at a local manufacturing plant. He'd spent his life believing his pension would secure a comfortable retirement, but that was a fantasy. Due to corporate mismanagement, his retirement planning failed, and the pension payout was a fraction of what he'd expected. Then, disaster struck. One afternoon, he fell down the stairs, fracturing his hip. The hospital bills descended on our family like an avalanche. My dad's health insurance failed them, refusing to cover the majority of the costs due to some obscure clause in the fine print. This medical emergency wiped out most of their savings. Desperate, my father tried to cash out a life insurance policy early, but the insurance claim was denied over a minor paperwork error. The family's financial crisis was absolute. Their credit cards were maxed out. I once witnessed the mortifying moment my mother's card was declined at the grocery store. The shame and helplessness in her eyes were palpable. I stepped in and paid the bill, but they didn't see it as a kindness. To them, my help was an indictment of their failure. During this time, I had founded my digital marketing agency, Cybersecurity Marketing. It was a struggle at first, but my expertise in cybersecurity gave me an edge. I protected clients from hackers while growing their online presence, and my business took off. I achieved financial independence early, thanks in large part to a savvy investment I'd made in cryptocurrency back in college. I had bought Bitcoin and Ethereum with money I'd earned from a summer job, and the investment had grown exponentially. This success, however, only seemed to alienate me further from my family. They saw my wealth as dumb luck, while Chloe's series of small business failures were framed as character-building experiences. When Chloe announced she was marrying Mark, the family's finances were at rock bottom. I saw it as an opportunity, a chance to finally bridge the gap between us. When I heard them worrying about the cost of a wedding, I stepped in. "Don't worry about it," I told them. "Chloe's wedding is my gift to the family." I thought the gesture would earn their respect. I was wrong. They treated my money as their entitlement. They booked the most expensive hotel in Austin, invited everyone they knew to bask in the reflected glory of my wealth, and in return, they didn't even save me a chair. They took my money, and then they took my dignity. Walking out of that ballroom, my mind wasn't just on fire with rage, it was operating with a cold, analytical precision. I'm a cybersecurity analyst. My entire career is built on finding hidden truths in a world of digital smoke and mirrors. If my family was going to humiliate me, I decided, then none of their secrets were safe.
I found a quiet corner in the hotel lobby and opened my laptop. I have a close friend, Alex, a forensic accountant and a cryptocurrency whiz. Just before the ceremony, he had sent me a cryptic text. "Check your crypto wallet, seeing some anomalous activity." In the pre-wedding chaos, I'd brushed it off. Now, the sting of that empty chair brought his warning into sharp focus. With trembling hands, I logged into my digital wallet. My heart stopped. Approximately $250,000 worth of Ethereum was gone, vanished. This was the nest egg I had meticulously built over years. The money that represented my security, my future, was wiped out. I immediately called Alex. "I was afraid of this," he said, his voice grim. "The transaction was sophisticated, but they got sloppy." For the next hour, Alex and I traced the digital breadcrumbs. The thieves had used a VPN, but their VPN negligence was their downfall. It was a cheap service that didn't fully mask their true IP address. Using his expertise, Alex managed to trace it. The result felt like a physical blow. The IP address was registered to Mark's, Chloe's new husband's, home office. Alex dug deeper, analyzing the transfer on the blockchain. The crypto had been moved from my wallet to an anonymous wallet, then systematically laundered into a new bank account, an account that had just been opened in the names of Chloe and Mark Carter. "They forged your digital signature to authorize the transfer, Liam," Alex explained. "This wasn't a random hack. This was a planned, targeted online financial loss." The whole picture clicked into place with horrifying clarity. Their dream wedding was a sham, a cover for a far more sinister plot. They hadn't just used my money for the party, they had stolen my future to fund theirs. They were probably planning to use it as a down payment on a house, a way to escape the financial ruin they were drowning in. I knew about their struggles. My dad's failing pension, the hospital bills, the looming mortgage payments. I had wanted to help. But instead of accepting my help with grace, they had stabbed me in the back. My body shook with a rage so profound it felt like it could burn the hotel to the ground. I hadn't just been disrespected, I had been fundamentally betrayed by the very people I was trying to save. My own sister had orchestrated my ruin. And my parents were either complicit or willfully blind.
I had Alex send me all the evidence, screenshots, IP logs, blockchain transaction records, to a secure, encrypted drive. The reception was in full swing now. Toasts were being made, people were laughing, and the happy couple was the center of it all. I looked at the scene of manufactured joy and knew I had to detonate it. I walked back into the ballroom, my steps steady and purposeful. I strode directly to the stage, took the microphone from the DJ's surprised hand, and stood in the spotlight. The music screeched to a halt. A hush fell over the room as my face appeared on the giant screens flanking the stage. My eyes found my family's table. Chloe's face was ashen. My father looked utterly bewildered. I began to speak, my voice clear and amplified. "Good evening, everyone. For those who don't know me, I'm Liam Carter, the bride's brother. It gave me great pleasure to fund this beautiful event, to make sure my sister's special day was nothing short of a fairy tale." I paused, letting the words hang in the air. "But tonight, I'm here to tell you a different story. Not a fairy tale, but a story of betrayal." A nervous murmur rippled through the crowd. "You may have noticed there was no seat for me at my family's table. My parents claim they miscounted," I said with a humorless smile. "But the real miscalculation was theirs. They miscalculated my intelligence." I pulled out my phone and connected it to the ballroom's projection system. The massive screens flickered to life, displaying a screenshot of my crypto wallet's transaction history. This morning, my account was emptied of $250,000. And the digital trail of that theft leads directly to one person in this room, my sister's new husband, Mark. A collective gasp went through the hall. All eyes swiveled to Mark and Chloe. Mark shot to his feet, his face crimson, sputtering incoherently. I advanced the slide. On the screen appeared Mark's home IP address, the VPN logs, and the bank statement for the newly opened joint account.
They thought a weak VPN and an anonymous wallet would cover their tracks. They forgot that my entire profession is cybersecurity. In the digital world, you can run, but you can't hide. I turned my gaze to my parents. I know you're struggling financially. Dad's pension, the medical bills, I know it all. I wanted to help you, but you chose to steal from me instead of accepting my help. My mother, Helen, burst into tears. My father stood up, trembling with rage. You're humiliating us in front of everyone, Liam. I'm not humiliating you, Dad. You humiliated yourselves. You left me without a seat at your table, so I'm removing you from mine. This wedding, this reception, I paid for every last bit of it, but I'm canceling that payment. And for this theft, you will face me in court. I dropped the microphone on the stage. The sound echoed through the stunned silence before chaos erupted. Guests were in shock, some yelling at Chloe and Mark. I didn't wait to see the rest. I walked out of the ballroom, leaving my family in the wreckage of the perfect life they had tried to build with my stolen money. Their smug laughter was gone, replaced by the deafening sound of their public disgrace. Echoes of retaliation. The days that followed were a media firestorm. Chloe's wedding of the year became the scam of the year on local news and social media. The evidence I presented was so conclusive that my family had no defense, but they were not going to go down without a fight. Realizing they were socially ruined, they launched a desperate counteroffensive aimed at the one thing I had built for myself, my professional reputation and my company, Cyberstream Marketing. One morning, I discovered my company's website had been hacked. The homepage was defaced with a banner that read, "Liam Carter is a fraud." It was a direct and personal attack, and I knew exactly who was behind it. Mark, with his limited tech knowledge, had orchestrated it. They had found a vulnerability in our weak hosting service. Worse, they had stolen client data from an unencrypted database and started an email campaign, accusing me of using black hat marketing tactics and defrauding my clients. My reputation, the bedrock of my business, was under siege. Panicked calls from clients started flooding in. My company's future hung in the balance. But they had made a critical error. They had declared a cyber war on a cybersecurity expert. With Alex's help, we traced the attack back to them within hours. They had been sloppy again, leaving a clear digital trail.
I hired a private investigator to do a deep dive into Chloe and Mark's finances. What he uncovered was a cesspool of deceit. Chloe had been committing wire fraud for years, creating fake invoices and phantom clients to keep her failing ad agency afloat. Mark had a severe online gambling addiction and was deep in debt. The money they stole from me was a last-ditch effort to keep their house of cards from collapsing. I now had them cornered. Fraud, data theft, cyber attacks, libel, the list of potential charges was long. I had my lawyer draft a letter presenting them with two options: return every single dollar they stole, issue a public retraction of all the false claims made against my company, and sign a legally binding confession of their crimes. Face the full force of the law. I would pursue both criminal and civil legal battles, ensuring they faced jail time and financial ruin. My father called me, his voice raw with fury. "You would send your own sister to prison? Have you no shame?" "Shame is something you should have felt when you were enabling her theft and trying to destroy my life's work," I replied calmly. "I'm giving her a choice. It's more than she ever gave me." They were trapped. A legal battle would obliterate them. To pay me back, Robert and Helen were forced to put their beloved family home on the market. After paying off the mortgage and other debts, they used the remaining money from selling the house to return what was mine. Their social standing, their financial security, everything they had prized was gone. Chloe's agency folded, and Mark was fired from his job pending an internal investigation. They signed the confession, and on that day, I severed the final tie to my family. I changed my number and blocked them from my life in every conceivable way. A new horizon.
A year has passed. I'm standing in my new office, looking out over the Austin skyline. Cyberstream marketing is more successful than ever. After the attack, I rebuilt our infrastructure from the ground up, making our security impregnable. That incident ironically became our greatest marketing tool. I used the money they returned to start a foundation that provides cybersecurity training and resources to small businesses and nonprofits, helping them avoid the vulnerabilities that my own company once had. I've learned that family isn't about blood. It's about trust, respect, and loyalty. My life is now filled with people who value me for who I am. People like Alex and my incredible team who stood by me through everything. My parents sold their house and are now renting a small apartment across town. Chloe, their golden child, is buried in debt and her reputation is in tatters. I sometimes think of them, not with anger, but with a quiet sense of release. They refused me a seat at their table, so I built my own. It's a table where integrity, hard work, and self-respect are the price of admission. They tried to silence my success with their laughter, but in the end, I got the last laugh, because I learned the most important lesson of all. You must never let anyone else, not even your family, define your worth. This was never just a fight about money, it was a fight for my soul. And I won.